And without further ado, let's go ahead and get started then. So we want to thank everybody for joining us. This is definitely a highly anticipated product that we are on the cusp of releasing. A new addition to our Enterprise AV HD over IP product line. Why is HD over IP such a hot topic at this point in the industry? Well, I think number one is flexibility. Enterprise AV and HD over IP allow you to create an expandable system using an encoder or a decoder per source or display. Every video source gets an encoder. Every video display gets a decoder. You are able to build a large-scale matrixing, switching, distribution system without a traditional cookie cutter video hardware device such as a matrix switcher. You're no longer bound. You're no longer forced into the 4x4, 8x8, 16x16, 32x32 type of scenarios. So it's completely expandable, and that's very, very desirable for integrators in our discussions with them. For example, if we take a look at this video matrix system from our system design group, at the bottom of the screen we do have our video sources. We have a camera, we have a cable sat feed, we have a digital signage player, and a PC. 4 video sources. However, there's way more than 4 video displays. We have 6, 12, 18, 24, 30, 36, 42 displays possible. And we're able to do that by using a traditional managed gigabit network switch as the centerpiece, as the video distribution point. We're also able to get very significant distances out of systems like this. You could go 100 meters into the network switch from your video sources and another 100 meters out, and that's using traditional cable, copper I should say, Cat5, E, and Cat6. So some very appealing points to HD over IP that has brought a lot of attention to the technology. We take a look here at how the Enterprise AV system applies to digital signage systems, where you have one video source, and here we have 40 displays, 47 even. If you have a 48-port network switch, why not use them all? Here's a video switcher complete with a local HDMI input connection, where our laptop 3 is connected there at the bottom right of the screen. We see that because the decoder, IP922 DEC decoder unit, does have a local HDMI input. We'll give you some details on that, but you could build a perfect system for your conference room this way with the IP922s, extremely low latency because of the Motion JPEG 2000 compression. IP922 can also be a video wall controller. So we look here, one decoder is needed per display, and we'll certainly go into more details on this, but essentially this is a system where you have your 4 video sources, and you could watch that source, any of the 4 selected sources, across all of the displays. Or with the IP922, it's very dynamic because you have various means of configuring your video wall, whether by software or a third-party control system or the KD app or the Compass control system. You could even break these the primary video wall into different subsections. Again, just one IP922 decoder needed per display. Or you could even use the encoder to decoder point to point without the use of a managed gigabit network switch in the middle. We demonstrate here extending HDMI, but of course there's additional connectivity that we'll describe that would also be extended up to 100 meters away. For example, these are products with USB ports. That USB can be used for traditional data transfer, or just plugging in a USB dongle or USB thumb drive and connecting it to the desired PC. But you can also use this for keyboard, video, and mouse. Keyboard, video, mouse, abbreviated as KVM. We look at this demo system here where you have 3 operators who need to view data from any of the 6 connected PCs. Of course, they're able to do that through HDMI, and then through the USB, where the encoder has a traditional B-type USB connection to connect to the host, the computer, and the decoder does have 2 USB A type connections so that you can plug in your keyboard and mouse. So very, very useful there. Very, very flexible, very, very expandable. And then we get into the functionality that really makes this highly desirable. You could do some amazing systems at the better price points than ever before, because each IP922 encoder and IP922 decoder are also 3-port compass control master controllers. So in this scenario here on the left, we have 8, 9, 10 video sources. So that means we got 30 control ports right there. Then we look on the other side of the screen and we have 14 displays, and the 15th display is the projector. So that gives us another 45 control ports to the system. They could be used with compass control, or as we detail later on, you could use them with third-party control system as well to be the gateway, or to actually manipulate the ports to execute IR, RS-232, TCP or voltage commands through the keycode open API that we've published for this product, as well as our CX800 product. We do have a first question, which reminds me, if you have any questions, please do feel free to send them through the questions panel in your GoToMeeting doc over there. If it's on your mind, it might be on someone else's mind as well. The first question is the point-to-point configuration for a specific reason or feature, or just a feature rather, when you can just use the regular balun for the same results to provide significant features or improvements? That's a great question. We'll rewind here and just take a look at this specific slide. And the point is, you know, compare this to an HD-based T extension, for example, you know, and you could use an HD-based T to do something like this. Absolutely. There's really not a benefit of doing this versus an HD-based T extender. However, the IP922 themselves are totally packed with connectivity, 2 LAN port network switch built into each one to connect the unit traditionally to the network switch, or in this case just from the encoder to the decoder, and the other could be a network pass-through. You have HDMI input plus HDMI pass-through for local monitoring. You have 3 control ports for pass-through, or if this was on a network, you could use them as compass control master controllers, a 6-port system this way. You have USB for the KVM that we discussed, and more. I'll get into all of the details, but to briefly answer the question, no, there's not like a specific advantage of doing an IP point-to-point extension versus an HD-based T point-to-point extension. More or less, your benefit would just come from all of the connectivity options on these devices. We'll get into here. Great question. Thank you very much. So again, you're able to create an expandable system, and it all is thanks to the technology that is now available with multicasting. So looks like one moment here, we have
muted.
Came
Unmuted.
in and they were a bit
Unmuted.
check. Okay, sorry for the audio, the technical difficulties there. We had somebody jump in from our organization as a as an organizer, and therefore their microphone was live. So anyhow, if you're not familiar with HD over IP, then it's very, very important to get the concept down of what makes HD over IP work. And that technology that drives all of this is multicasting. We take a look at the diagram on the right. There's two types of casting, if you will. There is multicasting, which we use in HD over IP from KeyDigital, and there is also unicasting. Unicasting is so you don't want to confuse the two, because basically, if you look side by side, these things all look identical, but it's almost like the old puzzles where you'd have to search to find the difference between the two drawings in the old Highlights magazine, I think it was. And the difference in the unicast side on the left is that when you're doing unicasting, it's additional bandwidth for however many recipients are going to view the signal. So in a unicast signal, if you have or technology, if you have two decoders that want to decode the signal, then the encoding is doubled. If you had 3 recipients, you would have 3 copies of the encoded signal, 4. So then you had quadruple the bandwidth requirement as compared to if you're doing multicasting. So multicasting is ultimately a really brilliant technology that has enabled these this sort of usage, which obviously we're happy for here at KeyDigital, and many folks are very attracted to this in the AV side. And because you could have one source that could go to many, many recipients, one encoder being viewed by many, many decoders, displays in the AV world, and you're only going to have one time the bandwidth, whether it's 16, 24, 25, 26, 40 decoders viewing the same source. It's just one copy of that signal. Now, that's the technology. So now, what do you need to make this work? Your network switch must support IGMP. Extremely, extremely important here. IGMP stands for Internet Grouping Management Protocol. And so where multicasting is a technology that enables an encoder to be distributed throughout an entire network switch. It wants a broadcasted signal to all of the connected network devices, right? Now, if you had all enterprise AV decoders, you would still potentially even have a problem. Of course, if you have a printer on your network, or if you have other non-enterprise AV devices, you don't want to send this signal to a printer. It might be disruptive, right? And so even if you had all enterprise AV equipment on the network, it could still be a problem. Why? Because if you have, let's say, 10 sources and you have a display, a decoder, it's actually going to be receiving all 10 signals, all 10 sources, video sources at that time, and it's going to look like a pixelated mess, right? So the analogy for IGMP and why this is necessary is because multicasting can be like, if you take your son or daughter bowling for their very first time, you want to use the bumper lanes, right? Because who knows, a kamikaze signal gets bowled down that lane, and it's going to hop the lane, and it's going to go into the next lane and into the next, and it's just going to be very disruptive. IGMP is like the bumpers at the bowling alley that keeps the signal flow as desired, so that your encoder, your video source, goes only to the desired decoder's video displays, and it doesn't disrupt the rest of the network. Now, on top of that, for the new IP922 products, you do need a gigabit network switch, where that was not a requirement for our first generation products that we'll just remind you of towards the end of this display. So, and the other requirement is 8K jumbo frame. So this may be a new terminology to a lot of people. It's certainly a new terminology to me, I'm just the trainer here, I'm not the engineer. Most network frames, they're typically, a typical network frame is 1.5K in size at the highest. However, there are specific network devices and network communication that is designed to go beyond that 1.5K in size. And so for those larger larger framed applications, there are network switches which support 8K jumbo frame, and that's what you need for the 4K enterprise AV system. And for that, and I'll show you, we have a verified network switch on the KeyDigital website that will not only show you all the products across different manufacturer partners that support that are approved for this for the system, but also give you the step-by-step steps for configuring configuring Igmp and all the necessary settings in the on that network switch. So that's what makes it work, and that's how you kind of harness the power of multicasting through the Igmp. Let's take a closer look here, because now what is going to compose of your enterprise AV 4K system. You just need one IP922 encoder per video source and one IP922 decoder per video display. And here is what's all onto these products, because as you can see, there's a whole lot of connectivity there. When we look at the encoder, it's just so packed full of connectivity because of the ability to do this over the network. And we look at the encoder, traditionally you guys might think of it as a transmitter, right? It has an HDMI input. It has an HDMI pass-through, so in these data and conferencing applications, you could have a local monitor. It has an external audio input as well on a 3.5 millimeter stereo that you see the toggle switch beneath that 3.5, where you could select HDMI or external audio. And you could also select that through our open API to control the product from Compass or in your configuration software, or from a third-party control system as well. On the right-hand side, on the top right, by the way, this is front and back of the unit, you have your 6-pin Phoenix connection for balanced or unbalanced audio that is an audio de-embed of the signal that you're sending into the enterprise AV system. So the HDMI video plus audio, or HDMI plus the external audio, whatever's been selected, that audio is coming out on the balance unbalanced, and you do have DSP, so it handles all of the preamp functions for you. You have your volume control that is variable level or just discrete up and down. You have muting control. You have EQ of your bass and treble, and you have lip sync delay, extremely important in the HD over IP realm to have this lip sync delay, because anytime you send something over a network, there is network lag. Now, we're again using Motion JPEG 2000 on this system, which is extremely low lag. It's only 1 frame lag time for the system. So this audio out can compensate up to 300 milliseconds, which is just more than enough if you're just concerning yourself with the network lag. So it handles all the preamp functionality. You also have the I/O ports 1, 2, and 3 that are for control. They have different usages. Usage mode number 1 is to actually just receive control of your enterprise AV system from a third-party control system. So you can plug in your RTI, your Crestron, your Extron, your AMX, your Control 4. You could plug in any of those control systems into the RS-232 ports 2 and 3 you see, or even IR. There is an you could just have an IR sensor plugged in to the to the to IO port 1, and you could send a remote command from for simple interface in. And in fact, you don't have to control. So you understand now you can control this from a third party. Now the next question is always, well, you know, if I have a 4x12 system, does that take 16 ports from my control system? And the answer is no. Any of the devices can receive a device-specific command, or they can receive a system command and forward that command throughout the system, so that you could have one device as your control interface and control the video switching, for example, throughout the entire system. Second usage mode, as I just depicted from the system design earlier, is that each and every IP922 part is a 3-port master controller for compass control that's just waiting to be chosen there. So it totally negates the need for external control processors or master controller. 3 ports is going to be more than enough per unit. Remember, each and every unit has 3, so you could connect IR, bidirectional RS-232, voltage sensing, voltage triggering, and if you've worked with the compass control system before, this will be IP922s will be available in the drop-down menu of your master controllers when you add those to the your compass project, in the setup controller step. The third usage mode is a control interface. And what do we mean by that? IP922 can be an expansion for your existing control system. You can speak to any IP922 device over your network and send commands from our key code open API that allow you to specify port 1, 2, or 3 to be configured as IR, RS-232, or voltage, and to send a command to control a connected device. So from your Crestron, or let's just say advanced control systems, you're able to send a command that says, port number 2, you are now RS-232. You're going to send an RS-232 command at the baud rate 19,200, or what is it, 19.8, 19.6, and here's what the command looks like, and it's full bidirectional that way. So if you're familiar with the control interfaces in the industry, one of the leading or the most commonly known devices for that is Global Cache, for example, and you could think of this as a device just like a Global Cache has. So that's built in as a usage mode for the 3 control ports. You also have 2 LAN ports that act as a 2-port LAN switch or 2-port switch. So one of these in a traditional system is going to connect to the network switch, the encoder into the network switch, the decoder out of the network switch, if you will. They are PoE. So where you see the power supply on the right-hand side, the power connection, screw-type power connection, that is totally optional. If you'd like redundant powering, you can use that. Or this can, each IP922 can get its power from a PoE network switch. And it can also power PoE devices as well. And it'll allow you to basically connect your, if you have just a single network wire over to a computer that needs a PC tower that needs to be a video source integrated in the system, and you need it to be on the network, and you only have a single cat wire, you just run the one to the IP922 ENC encoder, and then you can just pass that network port, or that network signal right through to that connected display or connected PC for network communication. You also have USB. Now the encoder has the USB-B type because the encoder is typically connected to a PC host, if you will. So if you need to just, again, plug in a USB thumb drive and transfer data, or even if you have, say, a webcam that connects over USB, this USB supports synchronous or isochronous. So it could be like data transfer, or it could be continuous data, like a webcam. And you could also have KVM. keyboard, video, mouse. So again, if this is connected to a PC, then your decoder that's viewing that PC now has, again, I'll show you in a moment, has the 2 USB ports for keyboard and mouse connectivity. And then you see the EDID dial, you see the forced hot plug detection, and that's all because of these products having our full buffer technology that we've been implementing in the devices for years and years and years to make digital video reliable and give the integrator all of the options to install the system as needed. On the decoder now, HDMI output, of course, to your monitor, but we also have a local HDMI input. You saw that in the earlier system design. So you can have your global system feed to a monitor and have a local feed for local presentation, for example. Or, we've had a lot of people tell us that they want to do this residentially and they want to have a local gaming input. And this could certainly be used for that. Your audio output also has the all of the DSP features there that we had on the encoder side. Again, you have 3 I/O ports with the same functionality options. 2 LAN ports, same as the encoder, and you have 2 USB ports here, as I described earlier, for keyboard and mouse or your data transfer. You see the input select button that allows you to choose between HDMI, local, or the global feed, and of course that's also selectable through the open commands to talk to the units over the network or RS-232, over the software configuration, etc. Very good. So speaking of configuration, let's go through what it's like to configure an enterprise AV system, shall we? Step number 1 is to configure your network switch. You're going to have your network switch. You know now that it needs to support IGMP, and you know that it needs to support 8K jumbo frame and this kind of thing. How do you do that IGMP setup? Well, we at KeyDigital have taken the time to create a guide for you to follow to do this. So I'm going to jump over to keydigital.com, and I'm going to show you as we enter the page here what it looks like for the product that's already available, the KD IP 1080s, the 1080p for 1080p products for HD over IP. We go to the download specs tab and we press verified network switches, and you see all of the different partner products. For example, Cisco here, I just press the hyperlink and it gives us the instructions. And here's page 1, page 2, page 3. So you see there are visual examples of everything. Page 4, page 5, page 6, page 7, and page 8. Page 9. Okay, and then clicking done, I assume. Okay, page 10. So 10 pages for Cisco anyhow. 10 pages and certainly mostly filled by images. So we try to make it very easy, but we also want, our goal is not to do the work for you, as some of the competition have developed wizards and whatnot for configuring network switches. However, they've also, by having a wizard, it requires that they also reduce your amount of options for what network equipment you can use with an HD over IP system. With us, we don't want to reduce. We want to give more options so you could find the good, better, best, correct fit for your project. And you're going to, so step 1, you follow the verified network switch guide to configure IGMP in the network switch. Very, very important, okay? Make sure you get that network switch taken care of first. Next, you begin configuring our units. And just like we had the download section had the verified network switch guide, also beneath here we do have PC tool software for configuring the units as we're going to describe. Now, we're actually on the cusp here as of August 2017, on the cusp of the release of a brand new software from KeyDigital, which will be a universal KD wizard. For those of you that have been indoctrinated with the KeyDigital ecosystem over the last few years, we've had device manager softwares that were specific to devices for the nice GUI option of configuring units. Each software was specific to different to the various models. And what we're doing now is releasing finally a wizard software for all KeyDigital devices. You simply connect the device via the network, do a scan, or connect all of your devices via the network, or connect via USB or RS-232 and do your scan, and you'll find your devices. Now, when we do the IP922s, we download the KD Wizard from the KeyDigital webpage, and you will connect just one unit at a time for initial configuration, right? Otherwise, it could be a little overwhelming to see all these units and not know which one is which. So you do set up your units one by one. We describe the process in the owner's manual using USB, just because it is easier that way. You do a scan of your devices, and you find your device that's connected. You could provide friendly name to each device. For example, DirecTV 1, DirecTV 2, Apple TV, PC 1, PC 2, for the encoders, or for the decoders, Projector 1, Projector 2, East Display, West Display, North, South, etc. And providing those friendly names and providing the desired IP configuration, the desired IP address. Every one of these devices, of course, requires a unique IP address. So you connect, you scan, you find it, you configure one by one, and after you do your configuration one by one, you then connect all units and do a scan so that you see all of your inputs and your outputs, your encoders, your decoders, and you can begin building a virtual matrix system. And you see in the red there, the virtual matrix. We've told it there are 23 inputs, for example. And what happens is you just drag each encoder or decoder to the desired input or output assignment. Okay, so set it to the desired input output assignment number, because that's going to come in handy when we are being controlled through third-party control systems, and for many other reasons it comes in handy. So we'll get into that in a moment. You build your virtual matrix, virtual distribution, your virtual switcher, your KVM system, however it is, whatever the application. Doesn't have to be a matrix, right? We just call it a virtual system because it's not the traditional hard chassis. After you build that system, you are able to control video switching and the video wall configuration through this software. Actually, the KD Wizard, you see in the left-hand laptop here a small window. It looks just like the KD app, if you're familiar with that. The free iOS app that has an MSRP, so integrators can actually still make money on it, even though it's a free download. We know there's configuration involved in this sort of thing, so we want to give you all every opportunity to make money. You see there, you could have a small control panel, or what the KeyDigital Wizard is also going to have is a full screen control panel for handing over a PC based control interface for the KeyDigital system. And not only the Enterprise AV, but all KeyDigital app ready devices, for example, will have a interface, and you could just make it full screen so it doesn't confuse end users. It all depends on who your clients are. And you could give them a nice simplistic GUI for controlling their video distribution system. Speaking of the KeyDigital app, you're now able, after configuring the virtual matrix system, to control from the KeyDigital app Again, KeyDigital app, iOS only at this time. It auto scans the network and it finds any KeyDigital devices or systems on there from any app ready device. There's great features in there, such as video preview. Now, not all systems have video preview yet, so just keep that in mind, but you see the friendly names. The end user, for example, the bar manager or bar restaurant manager, can actually create their own presets. They do need to be called because it's a simple control app. It's not a proper control system, so there's no scheduling, but they can set up their morning modes, their night modes, their signage modes, and DJ modes through this app. And we feel that it's a gateway to a professional control system, because once they control every video switching and whatnot through the KD app, they're going to probably ask you, the integrator, hey, how do we turn on and off the projector now? How do we raise and lower the volume or the lighting levels or the shades or adjust the thermostat? And that's when a professional control system comes in, such as our Compass control. There's nothing more modern than Compass, because it is we have so many modern assemblage of bidirectional drivers that are IP based, all the network devices out there. Things like RTSP streaming are supported, so we see it in the doorbell cam there or your cameras. Great bidirectional modules with Lutron systems, a plethora of audio DSPs, and security and thermostat controls from the Honeywells of the world. So this is a single app to rule them all, instead of having your client jump app to control each of those devices. Also now at this point, you can control the enterprise AV system from any third-party control system, whether via IR, RS-232, or TCP/IP. This graphic, I'm just realizing, is incorrect as it pertains to the IP922. You don't even need a CX800. So CX800 is a control gateway if you're using our 1080p enterprise AV system. But for the 4K, again, those ports are built into those devices, so it wouldn't even be necessary. But any control system can actually control the enterprise AV, and it just uses the same video matrix commands as our devices have always used. So if you've controlled a KeyDigital video matrix anytime in the past 9 years, we've been using this control protocol. And you probably have those drivers available already. Or let's say you have an existing system that you want to upgrade to digital, going video over IP. Even from back in the days of analog, you could just move that RS-232 cable over to the I/O port and control our system, because it not only responds to our current matrix switching protocol and command, it also can respond to the old school Fat Boy series BNC connector analog video matrix products. So very, very exciting there. We want to make it as easy as possible to control the system. So now let's go ahead and get into a really, really exciting feature that's built into every KD IP922 decoder. You need one decoder per display, and you can build a video wall out of the system. We see the example here that we like to utilize where you have 4 video sources, or even, we show 3 different things on the screens at this time. So you would just need 3 or 4 encoders, and in this configurations case, we have 24 displays. 6x4 video wall equals 24 displays, so you would need 24 decoders to build that video wall. You could actually go up to 10 by 10 with IP922 systems. So please do specify a 100 panel video wall. We'd love to be a part of that project. That you could have a screen rotation of 0, 180, or 270 degrees. And as depicted, we have a really cool feature that makes interfacing with our system very, very simplistic. You have main and sub video wall assignments. So we look at this example here where we have 4 vertical displays and 6 horizontal displays, and you could have a primary, the video wall is 4 by 6, but then you have these secondary displays inside. All you need to tell us is the ID number of your video wall, because you may have more than one video wall on your job site. How many displays vertically? In this example's case, it's 4. How many displays horizontally? In this depicted demo again is 6. And the position of each display. And for the position of the display, it reads like the book. So if you can see my mouse, the top left is number 1, ID number 1, or position number 1. We go from left to right, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, beginning second row, 7, 8, 9, 10, etc. So you guys get the picture there. And I found that to be extremely, extremely easy. I've interfaced with a number of video walls before because of the compass control system here at KeyDigital, having a rollout with many Marriott properties throughout the USA, and various video wall manufacturers don't always make it so easy. So I found that to be extremely easy. And so if we are to take this example here, the main video wall, we set the ID for the main, right? And you have 6 horizontal displays, you have 4 vertical displays, and you set the ID number of each display. And again, I'm just rewinding here, but these are the basic ASCII strings that are published in the owner's manual. But then we also have the KD Wizard software that'll make this very easy for you. We look at each sub video wall, and you could send the number of horizontal displays, vertical displays, and the position within. So you could see it all here in the commands. So here we are in the A section. Enable video wall, so you could actually disable it to have just basic matrix switching going on. You set the ID number, SPO, XX, VID, YY, the number of horizontal in the main video wall, the number of vertical in the main, and the position within the main. Then we move on to the next set of 3 commands, secondary or sub, horizontal displays in the sub, vertical displays in the sub, and the position in that sub. There's also a really, really cool feature for your bezel adjustment, so that the image could look continuous through the bezel. You can just give us the dimensions of your monitor. You could tell us the screen itself dimensions, width and height in millimeters, and the bezel. So you add the frame into the equation, and we will automatically do the math for you. So it's super, super convenient. Again, I have quite a bit of experience with other video wall configurations, and I just found this to be really, really awesome. I think our engineers did I truly think they did a really fantastic job handling this video wall. And the whole main and sub thing, you might think about, it's like, well, why do we do that, or why did we need that? Can't I just send something to each image one at a time, or each display one at a time? But it's extremely cool how we're doing this. You could see why we do this is to build an advanced GUI, whether from Compass Control, as we see the upcoming release of our Compass Control Pro GUI, whether from Compass Control or third-party control systems. This allows you to easily break them up into various panels and configurations. I'm going to go ahead, it's a short video, I'm going to go ahead and just press play again so you could see that, because it's super, super neat. And keep in mind, it's going to be identical or similar in the KD Wizard software for controlling the video wall as well. So that's a pretty cool video. Now, as far as the 4K stuff goes, That's about it. At CEDIA, we are going to have, excuse me, at CEDIA, we are going to have our first hands-on system configuration training, and we'll also make those training videos available to you online. You'll want to get your dealer profile created for that. But the webinar is not over yet because we just want to spend another quick few minutes on reminding you or introducing you to our 1080p enterprise AV products. They are the IP1080TX and the IP1080RX. They are PoE. So again, they have redundant power supplies, and these are, it's a super simplistic system that, just so much of what I already discussed applies to this, meaning, the configuration with the software one by one, then you build a virtual matrix, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, okay? You also need IGMP here. Some of the requirements are different, so the document will specify what is supported for the 1080p system and the 4K system separately, but super simplistic products, but super effective, truly home runs for digital signage installation and bar and restaurant installation as well. As we see here, the thing about KeyDigital now, you saw those demos on the home screen of the Compass Control Pro app, and that's not just 6 different GUIs we've come up with. Those are our focus markets, and so every product we design and every product we have, we've sculpted around our 6 primary focus markets, and you just go to keydigital.com to see what those are and how we deliver solutions for those applications. So we take a look at a bar restaurant here that doesn't need 4K, right? You've got your, at the bottom, 18 IP1080TX units, and at the top, 9, 3, and 3. So last I checked, that's 24 displays, and you just got an IP1080TX per video source, an IP1080RX per video display, and we use our little control interface, the 3-port master controller, CX800. You could group them at at the displays because they too have the dual LAN ports. You only need 3 wires to go or you only need 1 wire to go to each display, and the network signal can pass right through to the IP1080RX unit, and for IGMP supported pass-through, and then to break out the Compass Control communication there. So truly an ideal fit for bar, restaurant, and we've also done many large-scale digital signage jobs. This uses a different compression method. It's H.264, which is extremely low bandwidth, so we can have very large systems here using multiple network switches, and just use the fiber uplink port at 15 megabits per second. Each encoder you're never going to exceed the bandwidth of your fiber uplink port for stacking 2 network switches. We've even had folks install network switches at various locations throughout the building, even using Cat6 as the link between, but you'll want to talk to your network manufacturer, hardware manufacturer for that. And don't forget, you're going to have a lot of these systems, or a lot of these units in your systems. We have a wonderful mounting method to make your systems look super clean. If you're doing the IP1080 products or the predecessor IP120s, you use the RK120 PLT. And now we have the KD SMS16, Sierra Mike Sierra 16, brand new rack mounting, universal rack mounting product, and it works with all of the new gear we're releasing that's not rack mountable. We've standardized all the screw spacing, and you could put up to 16 different devices across. Doesn't have to be all one unit, whereas the RK PLTs were designed specifically for specific devices. So what's next? What's next for you? I really hope that that this webinar has been informative to you. And how do we follow up with that to make sure that you're specifying your systems up to with the factory stamp of approval? It's going to be with KeyDigital's System Design Group. KeyDigital System Design Group is a free service that we offer to all of our partners. Typically, it's a 2-day turnaround time. And all you really need to do is just let us know information on the 5 questions. What are your sources? For example, I have an HDMI laptop, a VGA laptop, a digital signage player, and a PC. What are the displays? We have 6 video walls throughout our hotel that we need to distribute the video to. What are the distances, or at least the maximum distance? So we have the high range extension method specified, and resolution. For example, today we discussed a 4K product and a 1080p product. And how do you want to control the system? KeyDigital's Compass control system, great. Let us know what all else needs to be controlled and by what method. Or are you controlling it with a third party? That's fine. We love third party control systems because we're a 19-year-old company and we've only had the control product for 5 years now. So you email all that info over to SDG, as in System Design Group, at KeyDigital.com, and then we're able to, within 2 days turnaround time, send you a page 1, a Visio style drawing, as you could see here, and it's a bit of a connectivity guide. We're not responsible for all the nitty-gritty tech stuff, technical details, but and then page 2, a BOM, so that you can bring this to your client and you can hand this over to KeyDigital or to your KeyDigital sales rep as your completed purchase order. Now, speaking of resolution, 4K and 1080p, we now have a question about, can you mix and match 1080 and 4K encoders on the same system? That is a wonderful, wonderful question. Thank you so much for asking that. It was my intention to specify, no, you cannot mix and match IP 1080s with IP 922s. And I'm just going to quickly open up here the IP 922 manual that will be published here soon. And you could actually see we do have a chart here, your encoders, your decoders, and your rack mount options, and there you have your exclamation mark that the 922s are not compatible with the 1080s, okay? Very good question. Thank you so much for bringing that up. We have another question, which is, can we get a link to the recorded webinar? And yes, if I know you personally, I'll send it to you or just shoot me a note. But yes, as long as there's no failures in the recording or the rendering of this video, it has been recorded. And for all KeyDigital webinars, and additional KeyDigital items, you just go to our YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/ or you know what? Instead of saying youtube.com/MashaKDS, you just go to KeyDigital.com and you see it across the top banner, you have YouTube, and it brings you right in to our YouTube channel. And there you go. We go to playlists here, and we have webinars in here somewhere. Unboxing. Here you are, webinar series, right? So here's a recent one on installing, specifying, designing HDCP 2.2 video systems for houses of worship. So so there you have it. Again, we just went to the KeyDigital website and hit the YouTube icon there. And on that note, you also have your LinkedIn and Facebook and Twitters and all of that. You hit us up on the Twitters and Instagrams. Very good questions. We'll spend the next moment here for folks to submit any remaining questions. On your screen right now is how to contact KeyDigital. We are 9 to 5. As far as the phone stuff goes, 9 to 5 Eastern time. However, our salesmen are always standing by on their phones, I'm sure. And you can also send emails over, and we have a number of the tech team, that frequently check their emails on the evenings and whatnot if something should end up not being, not being within the normal business hours. One more question. Compass control training. Has a date been set for the compass control training? Well, again, this video is being recorded August 2017. Although everyone pretty much could pencil in the dates now, we don't have it 100% finalized, but it looks like it's going to be November 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th, a 4-day presentation or a 4-day training with presentations at the beginning and hands-on that will take you through our modular drag and drop method, and it will include the new CC Pro GUI that you saw in the video previously, and take you all the way through custom GUI building from scratch with Compass Control. So there's really nothing else like Compass Control with the ability to price at such a great price point to offer drag and drop or custom programming, or even drag and drop with custom programming and customizations integrated. So very good. Yes, and we'll be publishing that information soon as well. If there's no other questions, then I'd ask you to just at this moment, if you don't have anything else, but something does pop up in the next, whenever, you just send it over to tech@keydigital.com if it's a technical type question. And if it is a sales type question, you send it over to sales@keydigital.com. And I'm sure our sales team would love for you to have this in mind when designing your next system. Don't worry about the price, okay? It's about the quality. And that said, KeyDigital is, there's a number of our competitors that are always, significantly more expensive, double the cost, so or even more than double the cost sometimes. We come in at 20% the cost of, 80% less than some of the big boys in the industry. So again, any questions, you know where to send them. And we really thank you very much for joining us, whether you be here in the US or abroad. Thank you very much. Muchas gracias. Merci beaucoup. De rien. Yes, we appreciate your time.